Chapter 1. Time to Call It Quits. Navy SEAL Commander Robert Brown, a seasoned warrior with years of service to his country, finds himself on the brink of retirement from the military. In just 2 short weeks, he will bid farewell to the disciplined life he has known and embark on a new chapter. As he contemplates his future beyond the battlefield, one thought consumes his mind: reconnecting with the man who raised him, his beloved Uncle Pete. A dimly lit room filled with the sounds of clinking metal and muffled chatter. Rows of lockers line the walls, adorned with various military gear and personal mementos. The room is filled with a sense of purpose and camaraderie. At the far end of the room, we find Commander Robert Brown, a battle-hardened Navy SEAL in his early 40s. His strong, chiseled features reveal a lifetime of dedication and sacrifice. He stands before an open locker, meticulously arranging his belongings. As he methodically folds his neatly pressed uniform, we catch glimpses of faded photographs tucked away in the locker. One shows Commander Brown, younger and full of vigor, alongside a group of fellow SEALs. Another captures a joyful family gathering, where Commander Brown's face beams with love and warmth. His eyes linger on a photograph of a family reunion in Mississippi. A bittersweet smile plays across his lips as he runs a finger over the faces of his relatives he hasn't seen in years. Commander Brown starts whispering to himself, "Just 2 more weeks and I'll be back home." A fellow SEAL, Captain James McPherson, a seasoned veteran with graying temples, approaches Commander Brown with a knowing smile. Captain McPherson says, "Hey Robert, you're almost ready to hang up your boots, huh?" Commander Brown looks up, nodding, and closes his locker with a sense of finality. Commander Brown replies, "Yeah, Captain, 21 years in the service. It's time to move on and find my place in the world again." Captain James places a reassuring hand on Commander Brown's shoulder, understanding the mixture of emotions he must be feeling. Captain McPherson says, "You've earned it, my friend. Reconnecting with family is a damn good reason to retire. I know you've been longing to see them again." Commander Brown's eyes glisten with unshed tears, and he takes a deep breath to compose himself. Commander Brown says, "It's been too long, Captain. I've missed them so much. But now, I'm going to make up for lost time." Captain McPherson claps Commander Brown on the back, offering his support and well wishes. Captain McPherson says, "You've got 2 weeks left, brother. Finish strong, and then go find your place in Mississippi. They're waiting for you." Captain McPherson reaches into his pocket and pulls out a keychain and hands it to the commander. The commander asks, "What's this, Cap?" The captain replied, "It's a going-away present." The captain gives Commander Brown a keychain with the Navy SEAL trident and the commandeer's initials, RB. Commander Brown smiles, his resolve strengthened by the unwavering support of his comrade. Commander Brown replies, "Thank you, Cap. It's been an honor serving with you, sir." As the 2 SEALs share a nod of understanding, the weight of Commander Brown's impending retirement begins to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the journey that lies ahead. 1.1. Long Talk with Uncle Pete. As the sun set over the distant horizon, Navy SEAL Commander Robert Brown found himself reflecting on his illustrious military career. The time had finally come for him to retire, a decision that had been years in the making. As he gazed out over the calm ocean waves, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and nostalgia. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, dialing a familiar number. "Hello?" A warm voice answered on the other end. "Hey, Uncle Pete, it's Robert," he said with a smile. "Robert, my favorite nephew," Uncle Pete exclaimed. "How are you, nephew? Is everything okay?" The commander replies, "Everything is good, Uncle Pete. I wanted to talk to you about something. Remember when we talked a while back and I told you I'm thinking about doing another 4 years? Uncle Pete replies, "Yes, I remember." Robert replies, "Will, I've changed my mind. I'm retiring in 2 weeks, and I want to come back home to Jackson," Robert explained. "I've missed you, and I thought it would be great to spend some quality time together." Uncle Pete's voice crackled with excitement. "Oh, Robert, that would be wonderful. I can't tell you how much I've missed seeing you. You've been off defending our country, and I couldn't be prouder. But it'll be nice to have you back home for a while." Robert chuckled, feeling a swell of love for his uncle. Uncle Pete had raised him since he was a young boy, instilling in him the values of honor, loyalty, and courage. He had been Robert's rock, always there to lend a listening ear and offer unwavering support. "You're my family, Uncle Pete," Robert said earnestly. "I want to make up for all the time we've missed. We'll have barbecues in the backyard, fish in the lake, and catch up on all the stories we've been saving for each other. Uncle Pete's voice quivered with emotion. That sounds perfect, Robert. Just the thought of having you around fills my heart with joy. We'll make every moment count. Let me know what time is your flight, and I'll come and pick you up from the airport, Uncle Pete said. Commander Brown replied, I'm catching the bus, Uncle Pete. Uncle Pete said, the bus, as he started to laugh. What's wrong, son? The military forgot to pay you? Commander Brown, with a hysterical laugh, replied, Trust me, Uncle Pete, I have plenty of money in the bank. I wanted to see the landscape of this beautiful country I defended for so many years. Uncle Pete said with a warm voice, I understand, son. Kick your feet up and enjoy the ride. I'll be here waiting on you when you arrive. Commander Brown replied, I know you will be, Uncle Pete. I'll see you soon. Then both Commander Brown and Uncle Pete hung up the phone. In the days that followed, Robert's anticipation grew. He wrapped up his final missions and bid farewell to his comrades, knowing that a new chapter in his life was about to begin. As he packed his belongings and made travel arrangements, he couldn't help but feel a sense of eagerness to see Uncle Pete's familiar face once again. Finally, his long-awaited day of retirement has arrived. Goodbye, Navy. Hello to being a normal citizen again. 1.2. Bus ride begins. The day of his departure finally arrives. Commander Brown boards the bus and finds a window seat. The bus starts moving, and he gazes out the window, watching the scenery of San Diego pass by. As the bus travels through the city streets, memories of his time as a Navy SEAL flash through his mind. The missions, the camaraderie, and the sacrifices made. The bus leaves the city behind and enters a vast desert. Commander Brown's face lights up as he looks out the window, appreciating the raw beauty of the landscape. He notices a young soldier sitting across the aisle, visibly nervous. He senses the soldier's anxiety and decides to strike up a conversation. Commander Brown softly asks the soldier, You all right, son? The young soldier nervously said, I'm a little nervous. I'm heading home, sir. I haven't seen my family in a long time. Commander Brown smiles and says, I understand. I haven't seen my family in a long time also. Relax, enjoy the ride, and take in the scenery. It's a beautiful country we're protecting. The young soldier relaxes, grateful for Commander Brown's comforting presence. The bus stops at a small town, and some passengers get off. Commander Brown decides to stretch his legs and walks around, observing the locals going about their daily lives. Commander Brown reboards the bus, now sitting near an elderly woman. She looks at him with a curious gaze. The elderly woman, poking her cane, asks Commander Brown, Are you retiring? He nods. Yes, ma'am. 21 years in the Navy. Time to enjoy life a bit more. The elderly woman replied by saying, You've earned it, young man. Enjoy every moment. The bus continues its journey through picturesque landscapes. Commander Brown watches the changing scenery, feeling a mix of nostalgia and excitement for what lies ahead. The bus travels through the darkened night. The passengers start to doze off, one by one. The commander looks out at the starry sky from the window of the bus. The moon is full. He begins reflecting on the vastness of the universe and the experiences he's had. He stares at the stars. Just as the other passengers, Commander Brown slowly starts to drift asleep. 1.3. Nightmare on the bus. He has fallen into a deep sleep. The commander starts to dream about the intense moments on the battlefield. He starts tossing and turning, his face contorted in anguish. He battles his inner demons in his sleep. He finds himself back on a desolate street in a war-torn village. The air is heavy with tension, and smoke rises from crumbling buildings. Gunfire echoes in the distance, the sound reverberating through his body. The commander moves cautiously, his senses heightened. He glances around, seeing shadows lurking in every corner. The weight of his gear and weapons presses down on him, mirroring the burden he carries in his waking life. Suddenly, the nightmare intensifies. Explosions rock the ground, shaking the commander to his core. The chaos intensifies, blurring the line between reality and his worst fears. The screams of injured soldiers and innocent civilians mixed in a haunting symphony of pain. His heart pounds in his chest, the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He fights his way through the chaos, engaging enemies with precision and determination. The commander's training takes over as he moves with calculated steps, his body moving as if on autopilot. But with each enemy he takes down, guilt floods his mind. The faces of fallen comrades flash before his eyes, haunting him in his sleep. Their sacrifices weigh heavily on his conscience, a reminder of the price of war. The nightmare reaches its climax as Commander Brown finds himself alone, surrounded by devastation. He falls to his knees, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the battles he's witnessed. The weight of his experiences threatens to crush his spirit. The commander awakens with a jolt and gasp, his body covered in a sheen of perspiration. He sits up and leans forward, his breath ragged. He puts both hands over his face. He takes a moment to collect himself, his hand trembling as he wipes the sweat from his brow, trying to shake off the remnants of a vivid nightmare. Commander Brown whispers to himself, "These damn bad dreams." He takes a deep breath, attempting to calm his racing heart. Looking out the window, with the moon being the only source of light, he notices the vast countryside stretching before him. A small sign comes into view. The commander manages to catch a glimpse of the sign. It reads, "Welcome to Rolling Hills, population 20,000. Commander Brown says to himself, "Wait, I hope I didn't miss my stop." The bus screeches to a halt at a quaint little bus stop. The bus driver announces on the intercom, "All right, this is the last stop. Everyone exit the bus." The commander walks up to the bus driver and says, "I was supposed to get off in Jackson. I was asleep and missed my stop. How far am I from Jackson?" The bus driver says, "I passed Jackson a long time ago, sir. I'm sorry you missed your stop, but everyone has to get off." The commander, visibly disturbed, shakes his head and quickly gathers his belongings and steps off the bus. His irritation is evident. 1.4. The commander catches a ride to the nearest hotel. The small town of Rolling Hills is quiet and peaceful, surrounded by picturesque landscapes. Commander Brown stands at the bus stop, surveying his surroundings. There's a gas station across the street. He says to himself, "Now what? How did I miss my stop?" The commander pulls out his phone, but there is no signal. He starts to groan and says, "Great, no signal either." He walks across the street to the gas station. There's a male gas station clerk behind the counter flipping through a Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition magazine. Commander Brown says to the gas station clerk, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me where I am?" The gas station clerk looks up and smiles and says, "You're in Rolling Hills, Mississippi. Beautiful place, but not exactly a hub of excitement." The gas station clerk said, "Are you lost? How'd you end up here?" Commander Brown starts to rub his forehead. "Long story, I fell asleep on the bus and missed my stop. I was supposed to get off in a different town." The gas station clerk started to chuckle and said, "Happens to the best of us. Unfortunately, the signal is not strong out here, so you're going to have a hard time using your cell phone." Commander Brown asked, "Is there a hotel nearby? I need a place to stay for the night." The gas station clerk said, "Yes, there's a hotel about 15 miles south of here. You can't miss it." Commander Brown tries to use his cell phone to notify Uncle Pete of his mishap, but still no signal. He shakes his head, takes a deep breath, and decides to hike to the hotel. Just as the commander is getting ready to walk out of the store, a white heavy-set man with a long beard walks up to the counter in the direction of Commander Brown. He overheard the commander's conversation. He said to the commander, "Excuse me, sir, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I'm heading in that direction. I can give you a ride to the hotel if you'd like." Commander Brown looks at the kind man, surprised but grateful. With a slight hesitation, he asked, "Are you sure? I don't want to trouble you." The Good Samaritan smiled and said, "No trouble at all. Consider it a favor from one traveler to another." Commander Brown nods, accepting the man's kind offer. He gets into the bearded man's pickup truck and they drive off. The scenery passes by as they engage in a conversation. The kind Samaritan introduces himself. He says to the commander, "My name is John." The commander replies, "It's a pleasure to meet you, John. My name is Robert." John asks the commander, "What brings you to Rolling Hills?" Commander Brown replies, "I recently retired from the military. I'm headed home to Jackson, Mississippi. I overslept and missed my stop." John says, "I understand. Traveling can be tiring. Luckily, I happened to be in the right place at the right time." As they embarked on their journey, Commander Brown sat back in the comfortable passenger seat, relishing the respite from the heat. The two men exchanged pleasantries and engaged in casual conversation, discussing their respective backgrounds and experiences. Commander Brown shared stories of his time as a SEAL, while John talked about his life as a farmer in the nearby countryside. Halfway through the drive, John's face contorted with discomfort. "Do you mind if we pull over for a second? I have to relieve myself," he asked, his voice tinged with urgency. Commander Brown shook his head, saying, "No, I don't mind. Take your time." John veered the truck off the road, finding a spot near a vast cornfield. The commander watched as John hopped out and disappeared into the field to answer nature's call, leaving the engine running and the air conditioning blowing cool air into the truck. Unbeknownst to Commander Brown, as John was preparing to leave the truck, he discreetly flipped a switch hidden beneath the steering wheel. Little did the commander know, this switch activated a secret mechanism installed in the hood of the truck. It triggered a pump that released a powerful sleeping gas that seeped through the air vents of John's pickup truck. Minutes passed, and the commander grew increasingly restless. An uneasiness gnawed at him, and a faint smell invaded his senses. Realization dawned upon him. Something was wrong. But before he could react, the sleeping gas had already taken its toll. The commander's vision blurred, his limbs grew heavy, and his consciousness waned. As Commander Brown fought to stay awake, his eyelids drooped, and darkness enveloped him. Unconsciousness claimed him, and he slipped into an unwelcome slumber. What happened next would be the start of a perilous journey, one that would push the retired Navy SEAL to his limits. The commander finally starts to regain consciousness. As the commander's eyes fluttered open, he found himself in an unfamiliar location, bound to a chair with his hands and feet secured tightly. There are 4 white men in hoods to disguise their faces. It's at this point the commander realizes what has happened to him. The commander realizes he's been kidnapped.